In June 2016, a number of years after moving from place to place, living in a shelter for families, living in rentals that didn't fit the size of her family, or living in rentals that didn't fit her income, Rocio Nunez purchased her new home with Habitat for Humanity. Rocio chose to become a homeowner for her loved ones, her family, her 4 kids. You can see in the pictures that they're growing up. Angel, Brant, now at East High School, kind of growing like weeds up here now. Brandon's in middle school, and Allison's in her last year of elementary. Rocio talks about the comfort and space of her own place. She has a lot of pride knowing that she has provided a safe, decent place for her children. And she gets excited when she talks about that they have space and they each have their own room. After moving so many times herself, she wanted her children to have the stability that owning a home brings. As she looks to the future and down the road, Rocio says, "I like having the house, so whatever happens in the future, my children always have a place to come back to." Home ownership anchors the family. Rocio knows the increasing value and wealth in her home may someday financially help her family. Her monthly principal payments on her home are like an automatic savings account. She gets it that the money's not going out, that the money stays in. Since buying her home, Rocio has a lot of pride in the continued investment in her home. She's added stone to her house. She's finished space in the basement. She added a garage, and she says that the garage is a great place for the kids to play ping pong in the winter. She's added landscaping, and she's made the place her own. And as with all Habitat homes in the metro area, Rocio's house has appreciated at a rate faster than inflation. Rocio's house is appreciated at 9% per year, 45% increase in the value since she purchased her home. Home equity. It's that principal payment, that monthly payment that's sort of a forced savings, plus the appreciation and value that comes together. It makes that home equity. Home equity has always been a powerful wealth-building tool. It does remain the #1 way Americans build wealth. And studies show homeowners' net wealth is 40 times that of renters. Home ownership is much more than the American dream. It's a critical piece of creating financial stability and breaking generational poverty. Yet not all get to participate. Many in this room are well aware of the disparities of Iowa's homeownership rates. White family homeownership rates, 75%. Latinx families, it's 57% for owning their own home. And black families, the homeownership rate is 26%. These unacceptable disparities come through decades of wrong in housing and lending policies and practices. The result, many families of color are not participating in the American dream, the #1 way Americans build wealth. And in fact, in a 2016 report, stated that reducing the racial homeownership gap will narrow the racial wealth gap by 31%. With black homeownership at only a third of whites, it's time for us to not only think about the volunteers fishing, Pastor Susan, it's about thinking about teaching others to fish. And it's more than that, it's time to provide access to the pond. The data shows disparities in cost-burdened housing, in home ownership rates, in net wealth, and the tremendous shortfall of supply of affordable housing in both home ownership and rental provides the focus and direction of Habitat's strategic plan. The plan starts with our strengths, areas where we're best in class: low-income lender, financial educator and counselor, owner-occupied repair specialist, and developer of affordable home ownership. Building on these strengths, Habitat's strategic plan expands into the gaps and inequities to do our part to create, preserve, and champion home ownership affordability. In your program and the pieces, you see a number of the parts of our strategic plan. I just wanted to hit on 3 of the strengths on the plan and how that ties to us going forward. Access to credit is a big piece of this, and utilizing our mortgage lending expertise to create new opportunities for families to access credit is something that we want to work on. And when we educate and try to let folks know how the Habitat model works, our team often on the job site, they ask, how many houses did we give away last year? Smart crowd. The answer is 0. We ask that to help folks understand that our families purchase the home, and they do that with affordable mortgage provided by Habitat. This year, we're moving 26 families into homeownership, each financed with an affordable mortgage originated by Habitat. And our strength is that we have sold more than 400 houses in central Iowa, all financed with an affordable Habitat mortgage. And our borrowers generally are earning wages between $12 and $16 per hour. Our strategic path, we will begin lending outside of our traditional Habitat mortgage, lending where gaps in services exist today. This may include small dollar mortgages and financial instruments to meet the borrower's faith beliefs. The next step, double our homeownership opportunities. Our strength is we build the lowest cost, high quality, affordable single-family homes in the metro market. It's a mouthful. Lowest cost, high quality, affordable single-family homes for homeownership in the metro market. And year in, year out, we build the most single-family homes that are affordable in the metro Des Moines area. Our strategy is to help more families become homeowners, both through the production of the houses and through our lending. Habitat will continue to build and invest in the neighborhoods that we've traditionally been most active, and we will build in areas of high opportunity across the metro. You'll see Habitat for Humanity active in our urban neighborhoods and our suburban neighborhoods. And just a little teaser for 2023, we'll be looking at a blitz build in a small subdivision. And when we talked about, lastly here, on amplifying our voice, building louder, we think about improving housing policies and reducing regulatory requirements through education and advocacy. Our strength has been our large base of volunteers and widely known for the good work that Habitat for Humanity does. Our strategic step is to do a better job in engaging you, our volunteers and supporters, engaging you to help us be able to educate community leaders and elected officials. With your help, we're going to build louder to advocate for policy and system changes around housing inequalities. And there's good news when you think about winning the hearts and minds of Iowans. Now, Iowa Finance Authority and Director Durham for IFA, her team recently completed a study that showed that Iowans support housing. And when asked if they would support affordable housing in their community, Iowans said yes. Director Durham's team showed that any way you slice the demographic, Iowans support housing. Hawkeyes and Cyclones, and Panthers and Bulldogs, Republicans and Democrats, urban and rural, renters and homeowners. Each of those demographics gets it that everyone deserves a decent place to live. Through the entire strategic plan, an equity mindset is an important part of each route and how we do the hard work to make sure we are contributing to the solution, specifically as we look at the wealth and housing inequities experienced by Black and Latinx families. Many outcomes that make positive steps in reducing the disparities are built into Habitat's model. Habitat families with an affordable mortgage are no longer cost burdened with their housing. Families see long-term, multi-year stability, and Habitat families build wealth as their housing equity outpaces inflation. In our work, it has always been about dignity, uplift, and partnership. We don't build for families. We have always strived to build with families. An equity mindset is in Habitat's DNA as an organization. Habitat for Humanity's spiritual father was Clarence Jordan, who founded Koinonia Farms in the 1940s as an interracial Christian community located in the Deep South in the heart of Georgia. Throughout the 1950s and 60s, Clarence and his fellow Koinonia residents were fiercely committed to the equality of all people and devoted to creating opportunity for all. Where brotherhood and sisterhood of all people was emphasized, where black and white workers were paid a fair, equitable wage, where everyone prayed together and everyone ate together. Where these beliefs brought bullets, bombs, and a boycott in attempts by the KKK to force out the residents. This led to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. writing a letter to Clarence Jordan about the hostility and unwelcoming neighbors Koinonia faced. Dr. King wrote, "I hope that you will gain some consolation from the fact in your struggle for freedom and true Christian community that you have cosmic companionship. Grant, God, that this tragic midnight of man's inhumanity to man will soon pass, and the bright daybreak of freedom and brotherhood will come into being." The bright daybreak of freedom and brotherhood will come into being. With Koinonia as part of Habitat's founding DNA, born with the vision that Habitat is committed to the equality of all people, we will do and we love our neighbor. We honor that legacy as we continue to work with colleagues and partners across central Iowa to become the generation that lifts families out of poverty through housing stability, financial self-sufficiency, and stable communities. For as Dr. King powerfully stated, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Our strategic plan is big. It's ambitious, and it's part of the community's solution for housing, homeownership, and wealth building. To move the strategic vision to traction on the ground, we need your love. We need your help to shine the light where there's darkness. So we invite you, and you might be thinking, where do I fit? Or what can I do? Do a reminder from 1 Paul chapter 4, verse 10. It says, God has given each of you some special abilities. Be sure to use them to help each other, passing on to others God's many kinds of blessings. So join us. Bring your special abilities. And you can start with your air freshener. It's a reminder of Habitat's fresh ideas. It's a reminder that you can share your experience of Habitat. Share your experience tonight on your social networks. You can come out on a Habitat bus tour. We've got one coming up Friday, October 22nd, to learn more about Habitat's transformative work. Invite us for a housing conversation. We love to talk about housing and home ownership. Volunteer. Bring out your team. Bring out your church. Bring your breakfast club. Invite your unskilled neighbor. They've got special abilities. Unless together we build it, Central Iowa's future will not be a place of equality, of fairness, or of human decency. It will not be a place where poverty, prejudice, or violence are unacceptable, unless we build it. Unless we build it together. Together, Habitat for Humanity and you, us, we will create, preserve, and champion homeownership affordability. That concludes our evening. We want to say thank you. Thank you to our sponsors, our event sponsors. Thank you for being a part of supporting Habitat for Humanity. Thanks to Megan for helping us out this evening. Congratulations to our award winners. Congratulations to the scholarship winners. Go. Use your special abilities. Shine the light into darkness. Thank you.